9. Jason Luis Rivera. One day in September 2012, Los Angeles police responded to a complaint about an intruder at Miley Cyrus's property. Miley wasn't home when it happened, but someone else was at the house and made the 911 call. They arrested a 40-year-old man named Jason Luis Rivera, who allegedly scaled an outside wall in an attempt to gain access to the star. He reportedly claimed that he was married to the young singer and actress who was just 19 years old at the time. Officers at the scene found a large pair of scissors in the man's back pocket. A judge ordered the suspect to stay at least 500 yards, 457 meters away from Cyrus while his case played out in court. Rivera was found guilty of trespassing and resisting arrest a month after his arrest. He turned down a probation offer from the prosecution and received an 18-month jail sentence for his crimes. His lengthy record of criminal offenses, including several trespassing convictions, may have contributed to the judge's decision to put him behind bars. 8. David Matthew Daniels. 37-year-old David Matthew Daniels was arrested recently in Foley, Alabama, after being discovered inside someone's home. He reportedly claimed that he was looking for a lost or abducted child who was locked in a shed. Officers determined that Daniels was under the influence of drugs and searched a shed in the yard but found no child inside. They charged him with public intoxication and criminal trespassing. After being released from holding, he went to Brandon, Florida to stay with his mother. Just days later, Daniels was accused of trying to kidnap 2 young girls, both under the age of 12, near a restaurant in Brandon while they were walking home. Daniels reportedly said that he would supervise the girls as they went to their houses. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy Jessica Lang told local station WFLA that the suspect and kids definitely did not know each other. An agency spokesperson further explained that Daniels allegedly began hitting the children on the head and put one of them in a headlock. The kids headed toward a church and made it clear to a woman who was outside that Daniels was not their dad by repeatedly mouthing the words, "Help me." Adults protected the kids and dialed 911, and the suspect has far more serious problems on his hands than the trespassing offense he was slapped with just a few days earlier. He now faces charges of child abuse and false imprisonment. The woman who was first alerted to the distressed girls, who asked to remain anonymous, told WTVT that she didn't want any recognition for her decision to intervene. She also commended her fellow church members for springing into action to ensure the kids' safety and saving them from the strange man, who can't seem to stay out of trouble lately. 7. Yujing Zhang. In 2019, a Chinese businesswoman named Yujing Zhang was arrested for trespassing at then-President Donald Trump's private Florida club, Mar-a-Lago. She'd managed to pass through the first checkpoint before security realized that she wasn't supposed to be there. Authorities charged the 33-year-old with several crimes, including unlawfully entering a restricted building and making false statements to a federal officer. She was convicted on multiple counts. At her sentencing, Zhang reportedly claimed that she'd gone to Mar-a-Lago in hopes of meeting the Trumps and other important people. She claimed that Trump himself had invited her there, but this was found to be untrue, and the judge accused the woman of trespassing in pursuit of a photo opportunity. Zhang was sentenced to 8 months in federal prison and was slated for deportation after serving her time. But she ended up spending 2 years in the custody of immigration officials, 3 times the length of her sentence, due to COVID-19 related delays that kept her from leaving the US. She petitioned to expedite the process but was unsuccessful. Zhang was finally deported to China late last year. 6. DaBaby. A famous American rapper who goes by the stage name DaBaby made headlines for reasons other than his music earlier this year, when he shot someone who trespassed onto his property in Troutman, North Carolina. When he realized that someone was trying to scale a wall into his estate, the musician fired at the intruder, who took a bullet to the leg. He then dialed 911 and reported the incident. In a recording of the call obtained by TMZ, the person who was shot can be heard moaning in the background as DaBaby explains that he defended his property against a trespasser who jumped over a fence. Luckily, the person's injuries were non-fatal. DaBaby commended himself for not killing the intruder in an Instagram post following the encounter, which could have easily proven deadly if it reacted with less caution. He extended healing wishes to the trespasser, but reminded him not to return to the property. After examining the circumstances of the situation, prosecutors decided that the shooting was justified and declined to press charges against DaBaby. The Troutman Police Department announced the news on Facebook and clarified that the investigation had been completed and closed. The decision most likely came as good news to DaBaby, who already had a handful of unrelated criminal and civil issues on his plate when the shooting happened. 5. Brian Patrick Arnold. A 65-year-old Jackson County, Oregon man named Brian Patrick Arnold passed away at a hospital earlier this year after being shot in the head. The tragic incident happened after 79-year-old Bill Gene Bradley told Arnold that he was trespassing and that he needed to leave the property he was on. Bradley later told police that the owner, his neighbor Travis Martin, had told him to keep an eye out for trespassers and to kick them out if he saw any. Martin confirmed to detectives that this was true and that if he was expecting anyone at the property, he would have told Bradley ahead of time so that his elderly neighbor knew that the occupant had permission to be there. He further explained that it had a previous problem with squatters and had gone through an extensive eviction process to forcefully remove them from his land. When Bradley saw Arnold on Martin's property, he went over and told the man to leave and threatened to call the police. Arnold charged toward Bradley and started arguing while putting his hand in his pocket. Thinking that he was pulling out a gun, Bradley shot the trespasser twice. He later told investigators that he fired his weapon out of a fear for his life. When Arnold fell to the ground, it became clear that the object in his hand was not a gun, but a flashlight. Due to the circumstances surrounding Bradley's decision to shoot, authorities concluded that he acted in self-defense and decided not to press any charges. While the incident was unfortunate, they felt that Bradley acted with reason and without malice. A witness gave a conflicting account of events, but detectives determined that the person's version of events contradicted evidence at the scene and was therefore unreliable. 4. Karen Turner. A 55-year-old Ohio woman named Karen Turner was arrested in early 2021 for allegedly refusing to wear a face mask inside a grocery store in Brook Park. Employees claimed that the woman refused to put her mask on, so they asked her to leave, but she remained firmly planted inside the business. Staff members called the police and reported the stubborn customer, who they accused of blatantly violating the company's mask policy. Officers said the Turner refused to leave or provide identification, and that she continued to resist even as they escorted her out of the store. They charged her with resisting arrest, failure to disclose information, and criminal trespassing. Turner pleaded not guilty to all 3 misdemeanors and was released on a $5,000 bond. While the outcome of the case is unclear, it initially garnered a lot of attention from the media as tempers flared amid debates over whether or not masks should be required in public places. Many people were quick to criticize Turner for what they saw as a direct disregard for public safety, while others applauded her, arguing that mask mandates violate basic freedom. It's pretty ironic and a little funny that the woman's first name is synonymous with the slang term being a Karen that became quite popular during the coronavirus pandemic, which describes a person displaying unjustified privilege and who typically ignores face mask mandates in public. 3. Attempted abduction. Marie Cortez was working as a school teacher for the Houston area Alief School District late last year when a woman she didn't recognize entered the schoolyard during a recess and tried to leave with one of her elementary students. She tried to stop the unauthorized visitor, who claimed that the girl was her daughter, and told the woman that she needed to go register at the school's front office and that she couldn't just come and take the child without permission. The woman continued trying to leave with the girl and even physically started pulling her off the playground. Speaking with ABC 13, Cortez said that when she picked up her phone to call the principal, the alleged parent slapped it out of her hand, causing it to hit the ground and break. Luckily, another staff member was nearby and intervened, and they managed to stop the woman from taking the student. As employees rushed to get the kids inside, the woman tried taking another child who was only 7 years old. The child later said that the adult grabbed her by the wrist and said that she had food in her car. Thankfully, the student was able to get away. Parents and staff members alike were left alarmed and angry over the incident, which sparked widespread demands for the school district and the city of Houston to do more to protect its students. Cortez requested for a broken fence that surrounds the school's playground to be fixed, but said that nothing was done. She was left feeling so unsafe that she decided to resign from her position and sought work elsewhere. In the meantime, the school district issued a statement reassuring parents and the public that they were doing what they could about the incident and to ensure safety. Another memo described the attempted abduction as an isolated incident, which left some people wondering if authorities and officials were truly taking the problem seriously. 2. Isaiah Lopez and Isaiah Navarez. A homeowner in East Hartford, Connecticut, recently found themselves face to face with two young intruders who entered the house without permission. The pair allegedly attacked the resident, who was armed with a handgun and shot back in self-defense, firing multiple bullets into both teens. Officers responded to the area shortly after midnight to investigate reports of gunshots. Emergency responders did their best to try saving the young home invaders, who were pronounced dead at the hospital. Police reported that the resident was the victim of a targeted invasion and that his gun is legally registered. The individual suffered minor injuries and is cooperating with authorities amid an ongoing investigation. No charges have been filed thus far. In Connecticut, a person is allowed to use deadly force inside their home if it's determined to be necessary to prevent someone from committing arson or a violent crime, or to stop someone from making an unlawful entry into the dwelling. More generally, the state's laws allot for the use of deadly force if another person is using or about to use deadly physical force, or is inflicting great bodily harm. It's unclear whether authorities are considering pressing criminal charges against the resident, but they have stated that the public is not in danger. 1. Shoshona L. Darke. A Colorado woman named Suzanne Morphew was reported missing in May 2020 by her husband Barry Morphew, who claimed that she went on a bike ride and never returned to the couple's Chaffee County home. Police failed to locate Suzanne but stated fairly early on in the investigation that they do not believe she is alive. A year after her disappearance, authorities charged Barry with first-degree murder and several other crimes in connection with his wife's suspected death. While much of the investigation has focused on Suzanne's alleged infidelity, Barry also allegedly had an affair with a woman named Shoshona L. Darke, whom he had several documented encounters with. She has denied having a relationship with Morphew, even though the FBI recorded her vehicle coming and going from his property numerous times. Late last year, Darke was allegedly spotted outside the couple's former home, which Barry had sold before his arrest. The current owners made the report after their home surveillance system captured footage of a woman resembling Darke removing a package from their driveway. Police arrested the 51-year-old on suspicion of second-degree trespassing, which is a misdemeanor in Colorado. But the charge was dropped a few months later after prosecutors re-examined the evidence and concluded that they were unlikely to secure a conviction. While there are lingering suspicions that Darke had an affair with Morphew, she remains a free woman for now, and a judge has dismissed the murder charge against Barry due to a lack of direct evidence. Thanks for watching. Would you rather arrive at home and find a stranger acting like they live there, or have a crazed landowner chase after you because you unknowingly went on their property? Let us know in the comments below.